And Makhijani, a co-team member of Alexa Developers Community, Chandigarh University. And on behalf of the entire team of ADCCU, I welcome everyone to this session on Introduction to Web Development. We are back after a very long time, but we believe in quality over quantity. The speaker for the day, Mr. Ashish Chawda, is web development enthusiast, a campus ambassador for GFG, and has great knowledge about the domain. Feel free to ask any queries and we will make sure all of those are answered. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Mr. Ashish. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the kind introduction. Am I audible to everyone? Let's just check few things. First, am I audible?
Yeah, sir,
Yes, sir,
you're
you are
audible.
audible.
And my screen is also visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's get started. So today's session will be on the web development. So we'll talk about how web works and how to create a simple website. So we'll be creating a portfolio website for yourselves today. So if you like to, you can tag along with us. So let us talk about myself first. I'm Ashish Chawda. Well, Simran already gave my introduction, but still, I'm a front-end web developer and an open source enthusiast. So these are the few organizations I'm currently associated with. Geeks for Geeks, as you already know. Tech Phantoms, it is an open source organization. We conduct events and workshops in 2 or 3 a month. Hack Club is also a coding club, and these are some organizations I am associated with. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and GitHub. So these are the links. I'll try to provide the slides after this session is over. So please keep connected with the Alexa community. So I'll be using Visual Studio Code for the hands-on. So until we start coding, you can keep it on download so that it gets completed when we start. So before this, let us talk about what is web and how the web works. So web is basically the part of internet you commonly see on browser. So whenever you browse, for example, you open Amazon.com, whatever you see, it is a part of web which you unsee. And it consists of many web pages, and we can jump from one to another by clicking on hyperlinks. So hyperlinks are the links which appear on the Google search. So whenever you click on that, you go to some page. So this is how basically a web works. There are few hyperlinks, you click on them and you go to some website. And after going to that website, whatever you wanna do, you can do. So basically, let us talk about front end and back end. These are very exaggerated words which you see and hear about whenever you talk about web development. So front end, it is basically you see on the screen. Everything which is visible on the browser screen, it is called front end. And for creating the front end part, we basically use these three fundamental languages: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This is what we are going to learn today. And the second part is backend. This is everything which happens in the background. For example, whenever you place an order in the Amazon, it gets saved into database. So this part happens in the backend, and basically it happens on the server side. So there is some server which Amazon has put there. So every code which is part of the backend runs there. So there are various languages which are used in the backend part, as you can see on the screen. So we'll not be going to cover this today, but maybe next time. Today we'll learn about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let us continue. So before going to the technical part, let us understand the analogy here. So how a basic website looks like. So there are three things. Basically, what you ever see on the screen means whatever content you see on the screen, how it looks, how beautiful it is, and how does it work. So before that, we should take an example of a building. For example, your apartment, wherever you live. So it has some structure. The structure consists of rooms, columns, pillars, beams, and everything you see which is visible to you and you can touch it. So this is called the structure, and this is also called markup in terms of web development. And the second part is visual effect and aesthetics. So this is what the structure, this is what we do when the structure is completed. For example, there are tiles which we put on the floor. There are ceiling effects which we put some lights there. We put on paint. We put on some lights, etc. These are the visual effects which we put whenever our room is completed. So this is called the styling part. And the third part is the functionality. So it is what we do when after everything has been completed. Means you have created the structure, you have created the visual effects, and now you want to put up the functionality. So functionality examples can be, for example, we can install elevators in an apartment. You install elevators. So this is part of the functionality, and you put on switchboards. So whenever you switch on something, the fan switches on, the light switches on. This is the functionality part. You put on doors and windows so you can open and close it. So these are the parts which consist of the functionality. So let us talk about the HTML, which is the markup part for the web development. So HTML is called Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext means whenever a text you see on the browser is called hypertext, and markup is used to sorry markup is used to define how the content is looking on the screen. So HTML is a markup language, and it defines the building blocks of web page. Building blocks, for example, whenever you see a website, you see there some paragraphs, some headings, some text, some images. Everything is put up there with the help of HTML. So, and the second language is CSS. CSS is used for styling the contents you have put up there. So it is called a styling language, and it stands for cascading style sheet. So basically, there is some part of code which we associate with the HTML document, and it is called the style sheet. So that's why it is called a styling language also. And it helps us to style a web page and make it beautiful and presentable. For example, you see many websites which are very beautiful. So they are made beautiful with the help of CSS. And the third part is JavaScript. First of all, it is different than Java. Java and JavaScript are two different languages. Java and JavaScript both are programming languages but are way different. Just the first part of JavaScript is same as Java. That's it, and nothing same in them. So JavaScript is a programming language, and you remember we talked about the functionality part for a building. Same like that, we use JavaScript to add functionality in the web page. So this was the overview for today's session, that what we are gonna talk about, and let us jump into the HTML. So let's talk about the structure part of the website. So HTML is the standard language which we use for creating web pages. Means everything, the content, the text we put up on web pages is created with the help of HTML. So the language syntax consists of various tags, elements. So for example, you might have come across any programming language till now, as you are in a computer science degree or any degree, you might have came across any programming language. So there we use many things: variables, functions, classes, objects. But in HTML we use elements. So these elements define how the content looks on the screen. So these elements tell the browser how to render the content. Means if it is a paragraph, it should look like a paragraph. If it is a heading, it should look like a heading. If it is an image, it should look like an image. So different types of things. Now you might be wondering what is called rendering here. So basically, rendering is nothing. Rendering is how we display content on the screen. It is just an exaggerated term here, but rendering only means that we display content on the screen, and in our case it is the browser. So this is how the syntax looks like for the HTML language. So there is one starting tag which you can see on the screen right now, the upper one, that is the starting tag, and below that comes the content. You can put any content there, uh, respectively to the tag name, and then comes the closing tag. So this is how a HTML language looks like. So uh, you should emphasis on here that the closing tag consists of a black slash, which defines that this is the closing tag. So there are only two things in a HTML syntax. There is a starting tag and there is a closing tag. Now there are various kinds of elements which you can put on the screen with the help of HTML. So there are many things like text, heading, hyperlinks. Hyperlinks are the things which you click, and containers are the elements which help contain everything inside them. So we'll talk about it later also. But the media also, media, for example, images, videos, and GIF files, etc. These are the media part. Form, whenever you submit any form in a website, that comes from the form part of HTML elements. And the last come is meta information. This meta information helps search engines, for example Google, uh, to index web pages, to get information about the website. So these are the things we use HTML for. And there are four basic tags in the HTML, which are very important for you to know before we get started. So first is the HTML tag. It is the root of the HTML document. Means everything in the HTML document is contained inside this tag. And as you can see now, there is a doc type tag also. This is the only tag which is not part of the HTML tags. So we'll talk about it also later whenever I open the code editor. But just listen for now. What is the brief introduction about this? So HTML is the root tag. Everything is contained inside the HTML tag. And doc type is the tag. Every document starts with this tag. It is not an HTML tag, and it gives information about the document to the browser. For example, in our case, the doc type tag will tell the browser that this document is the HTML document. And there is a notation. For example, in this session, we will talk about HTML5 particularly, which is the newest version of HTML till date. So doc type has a very small definition there. So I'll show it also, that how we write in the HTML document. And the second part is the head tag. It is the container for meta information. Just before we talked about what meta information is, meta information is data about the HTML document or your website. Means what kind of content is in your website, and what the content is used for, and different kinds of things about your website is contained inside the head tag. And it also helps the search engines to index your website. And in technical terms, you can tell the SEO part is in the head tag. Means to improve your SEO for your website, you put it in the head tag. And the third tag is body tag. This is the content which is visually available on the browser for any website. It is the HTML document's true body. Means everything inside body is visible on the screen, and it contains all the HTML documents we have. Sorry, it contains all the HTML elements we want to show on our screen. So let's get started. So I'll tell you first. Let's create a new folder here. I'll name it portfolio. Let's open this folder in the Visual Studio Code. So as you can see now, this folder is empty. I'll first create a file called index.html. You might be wondering why index.html. .html is the extension for all HTML documents. You can put either .html or .htm. So these both are accepted. And why index? So index is the name your browser by default looks for in a folder or your website. So whenever you type a website's URL in the browser, it will by default look for index.html file in the browser in the root folder. So that's why we name it index.html, because this is the main HTML file we want to show on the screen. So first we'll declare that this is the HTML document. So for that, you have to use the angular brackets. For example, this less than and greater than sign. And in between that, you put the exclamation mark there and write doc type. So this is the tag we talked about, right? That this tag particularly tells the browser that the below document is the HTML document. To specify that this is a HTML document, we write HTML after it. So now we have declared that this document is going to be our HTML document. And believe me, this is very short in case of HTML5. In case of HTML4 or older versions, it was very long string. So it was quite hectic to memorize that how to write doc type in HTML4 or older versions. So it is quite easy in HTML5 now. So now we have declared that this is document is going to be the HTML documents. So let's start from our root tag, which is going to be HTML. And this is the closing tag and this is the starting tag. So in between these tags, we put all the contents of our website. So first we'll put the head tag there, and then comes the body tag. So this is the root element HTML. This is the head element where we put the meta information, and this is the body where we put all of our contents, which is going to be shown on the screen. So there is a tag called title. For example, this is the website we are going to make today, as you can see now. This is going to be the website, and that's it. I tried to keep it simple so that we can complete in 1 hour or so. And the thing you are seeing here, which is written my portfolio, this is the title which we want to show on to our users so that they can know what website they are on. So to put that title, we use a tag called title, and we put it inside the head tag, and whatever we write here, it is shown on the screen as it is. For example, I'll put my name, and if you are following along, you can put your name also. So let's save it. And if you remember, I told you to install some extensions also. So it was a live server. This live server helps us so that we don't have to reload our screen. So now currently my document is empty. I have put nothing there, but you can see I have put title. So it is showing here that my name. Um, the text is visible, right? It is not short. Is this okay? Guys, is text visible to you all? Please comment on chat. Okay, okay. So let's put something inside the body tag. For example, let me put my name here. So as you can see, my name is showing here on the screen. Whatever I have put inside the body tag shows as it is on the screen. So I think we have started. You are getting the idea of it. How does the HTML works and everything. So let me tell you some basic tags what we are going to use today. So the first is heading tag. So there are 6 types of heading tag in this HTML language. It is from H1 to H6. Heading tags are in the hierarchy form. For example, H1 is the largest heading, H2 is the lowest heading, and similarly, H3 is the third lowest heading, and like that, H6 is the last heading. Let's see it on the screen. So as you can see, we had put the heading on the screen. So this was the heading 1, this is the heading 2, this is heading 3, and in between comes heading 4 and heading 5 also, and this is the last heading we have. So these are in the hierarchy form. Heading 1 is the largest heading, heading 2 is the second largest, and similarly heading 6 is the least one. So these are the heading tags. We also have paragraph tags. For paragraph, let me generate some dummy text. So this is the paragraph. This is how paragraph looks. You can see there is a space sum above, there is a space sum below. This is by default setting of a paragraph tag. So this is how paragraph looks on the screen. So let us create a link also. So for link we use anchor tags, and in anchor tag there is a attribute. So I'll tell about attribute more. Let me type it first. For example, www.amazon.com. I'm using this because everybody knows it. So remember one thing: whenever you put something inside href, don't remember to, don't forget to include the protocols, because it is very important. This part is the protocol part. So you have to put it while adding the link. And let's add some text here. So apart from the tag, whatever properties you set for the tag is called the attribute. For example, this is called anchor tag. We use anchor tags to create links on the HTML page. So in HTML page, whenever a link is put, you see some text there, and whenever you click on it, it goes to some other website. So let us try it once. So as you can see, I have put the tag here. So this is the link which we have created in the HTML document. So whenever I'll click on it, it will take me to the Amazon website. So this is how hyperlinks work. So this is the text which you are gonna see in the screen, and that text is what we have put inside the tag, and href is the property where that link is pointing to. So there is a minor difference between link and hyperlink. So let me talk about it also. Link is only an address or location of a resource. So here, whatever it is inside the href, means this part, it is called the link, and this whole part is called hyperlink. So what hyperlink is? The element or text or media which a user can click to go on to some link. So there is a very minor difference between link and hyperlink. So hyperlink comes with a text in it, and link is just pure link which you can type on the browser. But hyperlinks is something which you can click and it takes to you some other website. Yeah, the extension you have to install is the live server. Live server is by Ritvik Day. And the second one, if you like, you can install Prettier also for code formatting part. It is just optional, Prettier is, but live server will help you very much. So these are some things which are very basic, and there is a image tag. It goes by the name img, and there is something special about this tag. I'll tell about later, but first let me put an image here. So as you can see, I have one image now by the name project.jpg. So this project.jpg will put on the screen also. So for that, just like we put a link here in the href tag, in the href attribute, as same as we'll put our images link in the src attribute. So the special thing about img tag is that it is self-closing tag. Means it doesn't need any closing tag. For example, here in the anchor tag or in the paragraph tag, for example, you can see here, this was the starting tag, this was the closing tag. But in the image, we don't need any closing tag because image doesn't store anything. So let us save this and see on the browser what we have now. So this image, we have not put any styles here, so it is looking like that. Let me zoom out a bit. So this is how images look on the web page, and for that we have used this img tag here. And in img tag you put the src attribute, and inside the src attribute you can put either absolute link or either relative link. Relative means the link related to your present file in which you are writing your code, and absolute link will start from your root directory. So it is same for the href also. You can either put relative link or the absolute link. Currently we have put external link, so it is always absolute because it starts with the protocol. So we have also seen the image. For now I'll comment this out because we don't want to see that big image in the screen. And let us talk about the semantics here. So I'll first clear it up. So this is our body, and let me show you something. So there are three things. First is header, second is main, and third is footer. So in our site, let us see. So this blue part which you are seeing now is the header part, and starting below the header means from this line, the about me, the project section, the education section, the context section, this all comes in the main document part. Means it is mainly the document you are gonna show to your users, and in the below part this is the footer of your website. So this is just semantics which you use in your website to help your search engine or the browser understand which part is what part of your website. Means the browser doesn't know which is the header, which is the main part, which is the footer part. So these are the semantic tags in the HTML5 language which we use to tell the browser that this part is the header, that this part is the main part, this is the footer part. And before that, I should tell you something about the div tag. Div tag is the container tag. It is a block level container which we use to store elements inside it. For example, we have declared a div now. Inside div, let me put a paragraph tag and let me put some content here. So this div is used to contain all the HTML documents inside it, and we can later style this part with the help of CSS, which we're gonna do now. So let's get started right to it. So building our website, I'm gonna clear it all. And there is one thing, if you are using VS Code now, you can type exclamation mark and then press tab. So it will create a boilerplate code for you, which you can use for it. And in the title part, I'm gonna put my name. So first let's start building our structure. So our structure is, we will start from header, then comes our main part, then comes our footer part. So inside the header, we are gonna, um, there is something called class. I'll talk about it later in the CSS part. Let's just add it here. I'll talk about it later in the CSS part. So for this, I am gonna set it to S1 and header, so that we can identify that this class is for header class. And inside this, we will put a div with the class of main container. This is going to be the container which will contain all the things inside our sections. So let us put a heading here. In your case, you will write your name here. So I am putting here, I am Ashish Chawda. So you put your name there. And then, because it is our portfolio website, so we want people to connect with us also. So we'll put here social link section. Here I will put some 4 anchor tags, 4 or 3, whatever I like. So for that, I will, currently I am going to put it as pound sign. Pound sign refers to that root. It will go to your root, means starting of the document. I will put LinkedIn here and GitHub here, Twitter and Instagram. So in your case, you have to replace this pound sign with your original LinkedIn link. For example, it is going to be something like linkedin.com/in/your username. And for GitHub, it is going to be like github.com/your username. So you have to put this in the href. And after that, let's continue to our main section. In the main section, there is also an element called section. It is by the name of section only. So we have to write it like section. So this is the element. It is also used to contain all parts. So instead of div, we will use section, because we are going to create different sections. Like in the website, you can see this is the header section, this is the about me section, this is the project section. So these are different sections which we are going to put on the screen. So let's call this section of class S2. And as this is going to be about me section, so I'll put a heading here. by about me. And again, I'll put a div with the class of wrapper so that we can contain our about contents here. So first, what I want is I want my image to be here. So what I'll use a image tag. So first I have to import my image here. So this is my image, and in the source attribute, I will link to it my image. So as it is by name ashish.jpg, I'll put it there. SRC set is some important one, but it is out of scope for this section. And alt attribute is a very important attribute here because we put our alternate text here. For example, by some reason the image is not loading in the screen. For example, you have slow internet, or your just network connection cut out. Then in that case, whenever image is not showing, the alternate text will show on the screen. For example, let us see first. I'll open it with the live server. So this is what we have put till now. It is our heading section. These are our social links. This is our about me section, and this is the image. The image is successfully showing on the screen. But what if I broke the link? For example, I misspelled my spelling, and the link is now broken. So in that case, as you can see now, image is not showing on the screen, but alternative text is showing. So in this case, the person can understand what the image is about if the image is by some mistake not showing on the screen. So let me change the link again. It is the current link now. The image is showing, and below this I'll put a paragraph here with the class of about para. So this about para will contain your introduction. It is whatever you write, but for now I'll put a dummy text here. So there is one more thing. Whenever in the Visual Studio Code, whenever you type lorem and then type some number, for example, I'll write 10 here, and whenever you press tab or enter, it will create dummy text for you. For example, in this case, we typed 10 here and then press tab. It created 10 different words for us. So it is just easy for us to create dummy text so that we can see how the content looks, and after that we can work on the content. So we have completed our about me section, and after that we'll come to different section now. So this one's going to be the project section. Just like we have created here, we'll showcase our projects to the users who are going to see our screen now. So let us create that too. Section with the class of s2. So let us do one thing. Div dot main. So again, just like we did before, this main container will contain all of our things, and in this container we have to show our users that what this is gonna about. So it is going to be projects, and we'll again put a wrapper here. So this will contain every content apart from the heading. So as you can see in the main website, it is going to be a card. Card means you can see now there is the two parts of the card. One is the image section and one is the textual section. So the textual section contains a heading, some dummy text which tells about the project you are going to create, and a link so that the people can um, go to that link so that they can know about the your project better. So for creating cards, I'll only create one card now. Inside this, let us create the card now. So I'll give it to a class of dot card, and the card, as we have seen now, it will contain an image with the class of card img, and the source will be anything you want to like to show to your users. It will go here. And the second part of the card is going to be the content. So I'll name it card content. So we'll go like div dot card content. So in card content, as you have seen now, first one is the heading part, second is the text part, and third is the hyperlink. So let us create that. So we'll create a heading with the class of card head. So I'll name it project 1 now. And the second part is going to be the paragraph, which is going to be card text. So again, I'll generate some dummy text here. And the third part was the link, which users are going to click so that they can navigate to your project. So I'll create that also. So I'll again put here a pound sign so that it is a blank link now. And there is one more thing, target attribute. Target attribute shows, so here we'll put blank. So target is equal to underscore blank shows that whatever the link is about, that link will open in the some other page. For example, let me put, so I have put amazon.com here. If you had noticed before, when we clicked on the Amazon link, it was opened in the same page. But for example, now in our case, where's the link, man? So here you can see this is the latest link which we have put on the screen. So whenever I click on it, it will open on the new window or new tab, I can say. So this is what the target attribute does. So whenever you put target is equal to underscore blank, it opens the link on the other page. So we have completed our rep card also. So now we'll go through the education part. So let me create another section for that. Inside the section, I'll again create a main container. Inside this main container, I'll again put a heading which will be called education. Inside this, we will create a wrapper also, which will contain our education details. So first, as we can see on the screen now, this is my college's name. So I'll put a college name here. I'll put my batch here. This is my branch. And this will be the things which I have done in the college. For example, now I have just put up the coursework here. For example, I studied data structures there. I studied DBMS there. So this is this dummy text, as you can see. So we'll create that also. For that, I'll create a heading here by edu head. So I'll put my college name here. You can put yours, and below that will come our batch. Means in my case it was 2018 to 2022. You can put yours here. In batch I'll put 2018 to 2022, and then comes the branch. So whatever branch you are on, you can put it here. So my branch is CSE, and next is the list. So this might be something new for you guys. So there are two types of list elements. One is the UL and other is the OL. UL stands for unordered list, and OL stands for ordered list. So as you can see in the website now, this this is the dot here, which is showing on the screen right now. So this is called unordered list, and whenever you see 1 2 3 4 or ABCD, those are called ordered list. But in our case, we want to create unordered list now, so we will use UL tag here. I'll use DSA here and DBMS. So I have completed the education part also. Now let's get to the contact part. So contact part might be, I thought that we could deploy also, but time is running late. So I'm afraid we can't do that here, but I'll show you how to do it. Or so let's create a section by the class of S2. Inside this, we will contain main. This main container will contain all the form parts. So inside the wrapper, there is an element called form. So form tag stores all the things which we fill in the form. For example, there is input for email, there is input for name, there is input for dates, and etc. There are some buttons also, if drag paste, submit, delete, or reset some form data. So all of that goes inside this form tag. Form tag has this action attribute and method attribute. So this method attribute shows how the form data is going to be delivered to the server, and this action shows that where it is gonna go. So inside the form, we have to put some input tag. So input tag is also a self-closing tag. Input tag can be of many types. For example, let me type here. So you can see in the IntelliSense now that there is a type of button, checkbox, date, email, file, images, and there are many types of input tag which you can set here. So I am gonna use text now. For example, we are gonna use text here. So this is going for a name. Oh, I forgot label. So there's one more thing I forgot to tell you, that whenever we put something, we should use label for the semantics so that the browser knows for what that input tag is for. For in our case, we have put a label with the for attribute value name. So we are telling that this label is for the name input field. So this input field is for name. For example, placeholder text I'll set here name. So as you can see on the screen now, so this is the form element. This form element is showing the name tag here. So this is how does it show. So we'll do it for, that's it for now, and we'll jump right to the CSS. So CSS, we haven't talked about it yet. So CSS describes how HTML web pages look on the screen. Means how does it color, how does it show, means if it is red, it is blue, it is black, how does it show on the screen. For example, just now we saw our websites that it is showing blue there is white text, there are images. So this all things we use CSS for. So there are three types or ways which where we can load CSS on our screen. There is the inline one. We don't use it because it is a bad practice. There is an internal one also where we use a style tag inside the head tag. So it is only for critical CSS. Means the CSS only necessary for that document, we put it there. But most popularly used one is the external one. So in this case, we put the CSS in external file and then we load it on the screen. So for example, you can see the code snippet here. So this is how we load CSS on the screen. This piece of code we will put on the head section, and the link tag is used for that. So link tag, and there is a rel attribute. Rel attribute stands for the relation. So whatever thing we are going to load, it tells the relation of that thing to the HTML document. For example, in our case, it is the style sheet, and the href is pointing to style.css. .css is the extension for CSS files, and style is the name of that file. So this is how we load CSS on the screen, and this is the basic syntax of the CSS. So the first one is the selector, and these are the property name and value. First of all, what a selector is. For example, you might be wondering why we are putting class names there, why we are putting name there. So the selector tells us what element we want to select. For example, we can select it by the name of any tag name. For example, we want to select a heading, and if we want to select a particular heading, we can tell like h1. So if we put h1 here, we are going to select that selector or that element, and these are the properties we are going to use. There are different types of properties in the CSS. For example, there is, you can change color, you can you can change font style. For example, in Word document, you change the font from Times New Roman to Calibrate to Arial. So all that you can do with the CSS also. And the value part is the value. For example, I write color here and write this value. For example, I write red here. So the selector's color is going to be red. So let us talk about more later. So there are only three types of selectors, but you can create more combinations later. So the first type of selector you are going to see is element selector. Just now we talked about heading. So that way you can select any element on the HTML document. So for you can see in the example that we are selecting the p tag. P is the paragraph tag which which we have used on our website, and we have set color to red. So the color is the property name, red is the value, and p is the selector. So this is the element selector. And for the class one, for example, you have saw in our website till now that we have put many classes. As you can see in the bottom also, I have put a snippet here that for paragraph we have put class equal to green text. So as same as we are going to select the class with use of dot. So whenever you put dot in front of any text, it becomes a class selector. So in this case, we are going to select dot green text. It means it is going to select this element, this last paragraph text, which is present here in the snippet. And the third one is ID. So ID, for using ID, we use pound sign, and following the pound sign is the name of ID. As you can see in the snippet here, the first heading tag has an ID of first heading. So we have selected the first heading here, and the property is same color. We are changing its color to blue. So that's it. And there is one more analogy if you want to hear about difference between class and ID. So let us take an example of a person. So the person first name, let us relate it to the element selector, and person's full name, let us relate it to the class selector, and person's Aadhaar card in case of Indians, let us relate it to the ID. So the person's first name, there are going to be many people by the name of that first name. For example, my name is Ashish. So there are many people by the name of first name Ashish. And for the class selector, we have related it to the first name, full name. So my full name is Ashish Chawda. There are many people, but comparatively less by the first name of Ashish only. And the third one is ID. ID, we have related ID to Aadhaar card, for Indians, obviously. So Aadhaar card number is always unique for everybody. So there is only one Aadhaar card for every member in our society. So Aadhaar card is unique for every element in the DOM. DOM, I mean document object model. The document object model, which browser creates by the help of HTML document. So the ID is unique for every element in the document object model. So there is also priority of CSS selectors. Whenever you put some styles in the CSS, so element has the least priority, class has some greater priority, and the highest priority is for ID selectors. Just like we saw here. So the P has the least priority, the class has the greatest, some larger priority than that, and the ID selector has greatest priority. Means whatever style you put in the ID, it will overwrite everything. Yes, Sunit. So class is an attribute which we use to, not uniquely, but to identify a group of elements. For example, there are many text in our website which we want that text should be red color. So I'll put class of red to every element which I want red. So class is just a type of selector which we use to group some kinds of elements in the document, in basically HTML document. So I hope I was able to clear it out. And this was the priority. So let's get right to writing CSS. So I'll create a file called style.css. So first I'll reset everything, means margin equal to 0 and padding also 0. And also I'll put images to, now let's see our screen. How does it look? Okay. So the CSS is not working because we haven't linked it yet. So in our HTML document, just below the title tag, write this thing. So we have, just like we talked about, there is a link tag which we use to link the CSS style sheet to our index.html document. So we have used this. Let me save this. And as you can see now, the CSS has been applied. So I wrote just two things there in the CSS file. I wrote images. I selected the all images which we have on the screen. So there are only two images. One is mine and the other is for project. I I set those width to be 100 pixels and height to be 100 pixels. So as you can see now, the image are shortened, and these are the everything which we have on the screen. So let's get started and put all the CSS. First of all, as you can see on the screen, this link doesn't appear good. Means the LinkedIn link, GitHub, they all have underlines and they are looking ugly. So we'll style first our anchor tag. So there is a property called text decoration. So one more thing, you don't have to memorize all the properties of the CSS here. Whenever you need something, you just go on the Google, search for it, and write it on your project. You never have to memorize it. And if you do it often, you will eventually memorize it. Means you don't have to do it intentionally for yourself. So I'll put the text decoration to none. So it removes the underlines from that. So as you can see, the underlines are removed now, and the text is looking still ugly. It is the blue color. So I'll also change the color here. So let me put red here. Red isn't good, but it is emphasizing on the link that yeah, this is something different from normal text. So I have put red here. And after that, let's give our sections some CSS. So I have selected the section tag which we have put for every section on our screen. I will put padding on them. Padding of 2 RAM. So RAM is a unit we use on CSS. This unit is related to directly root of the document. So it is compared to root. For example, the root font size is 16 pixels. So 2 multiplied by 16 will be, I think, 32. So the padding will be of 32 pixels here. So as you can see, the sections have padding here. Every section is distinct. You can see this about is looking distinct from this project section, and the header is also different. And also do one thing, text align center. So whenever we do that, all the text which are present inside the section are going to be centered on the screen. So let us do same thing for p tag also. I will put text align to center. As you can see, the paragraph tag has also been centered here. This paragraph has been also centered. So let us do one more thing. Let us give our section some background color. So as you have thought, there is a property called background color also. Let us give this here. We won't be able to create the same website as this one because we are lacking on time, but I'll surely share the source code with you guys. So we have put the background color here, and let us change the color to, what do you say, let us keep it black only. Black doesn't look good, but it is okay now. So before that, let us style our header also. So what I'll do is I'll take header, add text align to center. So as you can see, all the text have been centered here. I will give some space to upper side and lower side of this header. For that, I can do margin of 2 rem and 0. So what I have here done is, there are many ways you can apply margin to any content. So here I have used the compact notation for adding margins. So this margin is for top and bottom, and this is for left and right. So what I have done is, I have written 2 rem for top and bottom and have given 0 for left and right. So as you can see, the top margin is 2 rem, the lower margin is 2 rem, but right and left they don't have any margin. It is looking this because of the centered we have done. For the text alignment we have done here. So the header is done also. So now let's style the about me section. So what was the about me image class? We haven't given any class yet. So I am writing a class in the about us image by the name of about img. So by the help of this, I am going to style the images there. So we are using about img, and what I am gonna do is, let us before write code for wrapper. So I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna use Flexbox here. Flexbox is a type of property in the CSS which we use to align contents and manage the contents in the form of cards or the sections in the screen. So for that we have to just put display flex there, and justify content I'm using center, and align items I'm using center also. So this way, justify content aligns it horizontally, align items aligns it vertically. So now you can see the contents are aligned. So it is both in center, and the image doesn't even look good yet. It was originally circle in the main website. So let us do that also. So in the about image part, let us create border radius. So this property does that. It rounds the edges of the media or anything what you want. For example, let me put here 10 px. As you can see, the edges are rounded here. So whenever you put 50% here, the thing becomes circle. As you can see, whenever I put border radius equal to 50%, this thing became circular here. So just like that, let us proceed to the project section. So in the project section, I have to create a card now. So let us see what we can do. So as we can see, there is a wrapper. We have already written styles for wrapper here. Now we have to write style for card. So card has two things, image and the card content. So what we'll do, I'll make card also a flexbox. And there's one more thing I want to do. For example, if you can see now, the flexbox has worked and the image is looking left side and the content is looking on right side. So it is in the row manner. But what I want is image to be upward and the card content to be on the lower side of it. So for that I'll give flex direction to column. By default it is set to row, so we don't have to set it on our own. As you can see, whenever I put the column, so it is just set like that, image is above and the card and the content is below. So after that I want to set width also. Width is going to be 20 VW. So VW is another more you can say unit for giving width or height in the CSS or HTML document. So here VW means viewport width. So viewport, what is viewport? For example, in the website, viewport is everything you are seeing on the browser. Means apart from the menu part, which is in the top of the browser screen, but in the lower part, which is whatever you are seeing is the viewport. So what we have set now is we have set our card width to 20 VW. So what CSS will do is it will calculate the width of the viewport. It will take 20% of it and it will set the width of this card to 20% only. So that's what I have done. And let's do one more thing. Set background color to something different. Um, Let us set this one. I'm just choosing the default colors here. So the card image was the card img class. So let us put some content here also. I will give it width of 100%. So it will be expanded like that. So what I have done is I have given the image to be width of 100%. Means it will occupy all the parts which are left of the card. Means its parent container. In the index.html, as you can see, the image's parent container is the card container. So it will take 100% of that width whenever we set this property. So that's what I have to do now. And let's get to the education part. In the education part, what we have is we have a wrapper. We have already done something for that. Let us give one more class. So there is one more thing. You can give multiple classes to an object. For example, what I'm gonna do is now edu wrapper. Why I'm doing this? Because by default wrapper has set to Flexbox and it is in the row in the flex direction is row for that. But in the education section, we want the flex direction to be column. So for that, we are targeting particularly the education section and we'll just change flex direction to column. So as you can see, everything is in column manner. So before that, the wrapper was set to row. For example, in this case, we have set wrapper to row, but in this case, we wanted it to be column. So we wrote only flex direction and other properties are inherited from here. So it will use these properties also, and this will be extra edit for the particular section we are referring to. So this was for edu wrapper, and let's write something about. So let's give a margin for that. So for now, I want to just give margin top of 2 rem. So there is some margin between this and this, means it's upper level container. So we have given the margin now. And for the contact me section, um, what we need to do is, let's write something here. Name. So let's style this thing. So let's give a class of input. So what I'll do is I'll take dot input, and there are two things we need to change here, because currently the form element looks really ugly. It looks like this simple box and white and then black text. So I'll remove the outlines from here. I have removed the outlines. I have removed the border. So as you can see, there are no outlines and no borders here. And also I'll do one more thing. I'll do padding of 1 rem. So as you can see, I have given the padding of 1 rem here. So the padding is created in the content. For example, something I write here, there will always be a padding of 1 rem around it. And also I can do one thing, just like we added in the image, I can add the border radius here. So it looks better. So as you can see now, it has rounded edges now. So I think I won't be able to continue now because there is already we exceeded the time. If organizers allow me, I can continue. What do you think, Simran Puranjay?
Sir, we are exceeded with the time, but you can continue for some time if you want to give the last end.
Yeah, so this is just the basic HTML document we have created. I couldn't apply the main CSS which I had created earlier for our project, but let me show you the deployment part here. So that you can show it to your friends or teachers anyway. So let me go to netlify.com. Netlify.com, you have to log in. So this is my dashboard. I have created many websites here. So yours desktop might look something like different, but what you have to do is just go on the place where your project is. For example, it is in my desktop here by the name of portfolio. Take it and drag it to this section here. So whenever you drag it, it will deploy your website and will create some dummy text here. For example, it is Jolly Booth in my case. So you can always change that. So whenever you okay, so this will how it will look like. So whenever you click on domain settings, options, and you can click on edit site name. So in site name, you can write your name here if it is available. In my case, I know it is not available in my case. So I'll write ASHISH portfolio. So I've written Ashish portfolio. So it is showing not available. Let me write some numbers. Okay, Ashish portfolio 11 is available and it has been deployed in the Ashish portfolio 11.app. So as you can see now, we have just deployed our website and I can share this link to anyone. Even I can share this to you guys also. And you can see it on your mobile browsers or anywhere. So this is how we deploy things. I wish I could explain more about these things, but time isn't permitting us. So we'll stop now. And if there are any questions, you can ask me in the chat section.
So there are some questions that will be displayed on the screen. Please answer those.
Yeah, sure. What difference does it hold because it is not an older version? Prince, what are you talking about? Can you tell me about it? How header tag is different from div tag? So basically, the definition by definition, we can say that header tag and div tag are almost same. There is no difference in the working part also. Just it is header for the semantics part, so that the browser or the your SEO information or your search engine knows that this part of the section of your website is the header. But in the working part, if you look it down there, in the working, both header and div tag are same. Means they both are used for containing child elements in them. So the header name is just for semantics here. Mini for which source code you are talking about? So there is one question from Gaurav. What is the use of jQuery language? Actually, jQuery isn't any language. jQuery is just a library of JavaScript, which we use for various reasons. There are various things which we can use jQuery for. So previously, it was used for some animations to create some beautifully functioning websites, and there are many things which you can do with the help of jQuery. And if you know about Bootstrap, which is a library for creating some beautiful modules, so jQuery is also used there also. But jQuery isn't any language. jQuery is just a library.
Sir, we are with our
Uh,
next question. What
okay.
extensions to install in VS Code?
Okay, so there are many extensions which you can use to install in your VS Code. For example, I have installed many here, but if you are using it for web development, the first one you need to install is the live server. Live server is very useful in extension, as you can see how many downloads they have got here. So whenever you are building something, you get frustrated when you have to reload it every time you make any changes. So what does live server does is, whenever you make change and save it, it automatically reloads the browser screen for you. So this is one thing. And there is one thing called emmet, which is pre-installed in the VS Code. For example, I was using it. For example, just like I typed exclamation mark and then tab, so it created a boilerplate for me. So it is done with the help of emmet, and you can install live server. There is one called Prettier also. So this Prettier helps us to prettify our code. For example, let us get back to index.html. Well, I have already formatted it, but let me format it with the help of Prettier. So whenever I click on Prettier, it looks something better than before. So there is a hierarchy that this is upper level container, this is lower, and these are its child container. So Prettier helps you format your code so it looks better on your screen also. So I can think of this two only right now. But apart from that, if you are using a version control, for example, Git, if you are using Git, so you can install this Git lens so that you can track all your changes on your project. So almost these things are now. And if you are going to any framework, for example React, Vue, or Angular, there are similar frame extensions for that also. For example, there is one ES7 this module snippets one, so you can directly create snippets from them. But if the front end part is only our concern, the ones I told now are only you need. So anything else?
So there is one more question from Minish Makhijani. How to
Okay.
reduce there is one more question. How to reduce page loading time?
So reducing page loading time. So there are many things which you need to do to reduce the page loading time. The first one is to resize all your images, compress it so that they are uh, easier to load on someone which a 2G with a 2G network also. So first you need to compress all your images so that they look high quality, but in size they are very lower. And the second thing is you need to lower your http request. Means if for example, whenever it is your big project, so you will link many resources in the head section, so you need to lower that also. And whenever you put JavaScript here, the JavaScript takes a lot of time to process, execute, compile, and then give result. So there are many things. For example, there is async keyword, there is differ keyword which you can use to reduce your loading time. You can use critical CSS also to reduce your loading time and only load the CSS which you need currently. There is one website called web.dev. I don't know if you guys know it. So there is one thing called test my site. So whenever you build a site, you put its URL here, and it will show the audit for you. Means how it is working on performance part, how it is working on accessibility part, best practices, SEO also. So the page loading time will come under the performance category. So whatever score you get here tells about how you can improve it later also. So this is something great thing. And there is one more thing. For example, this is our website, and whenever I press Control Shift I, or you can click, or you can right click here and go to inspect. So this is the developer tools of Chrome, and in the upper part you can see the lighthouse section here. So in the lighthouse section you can generate a report for your website now. So whenever I click on the generate report, it will go auditing, and it will create a report for me, which how I can improve my website. So as you can see now, it has created the report. It is telling 99% for performance, 95 for accessibility, 86 for best practices. I have got less score here because I have done very bad things. It is not responsive. First of all, I didn't had many time to make it responsive. But SEO is 92 because we have used the HTML5 semantics here. So if you click on the performance part, you can see the all the things which you can improve in your website. But right now for me it is all in the green part. But if your website is bad on it, you will get red here, and it will also tell you how to improve it. So this is one good thing. So you can check it out.
As we are going to an end, sir, what resources would you like to recommend, sir, for studying web development?
Yeah. So first thing I wanna tell you is freecodecamp.org. So this is a great site to learn web development by doing it. And I should not tell you, but this also gives you certificate also. Uh, but it is of no use, right? It is the skills which speak for you, not the certificates. So don't go behind certificates, but just learn the skills here. So there are many things which you can learn on this website. So there are total 6 types of certifications here. The first one is responsive web design. It deals with the front end part, and then the JavaScript part, and all this. There are new certifications also here which we have recently added to this website. But if we are concerned with the front end part, you need to do this first certification only. So in this certification there are various modules which you can learn. We have uh, we have now completed the HTML and HTML5 part. Also the basic CSS we have completed. But this is the various things which you need to learn also. We have also created very few parts of Flexbox also. So freecodecamp.org is a great site if you want to learn web development. And there are few YouTube channels which you need to know. So the first one I should tell is also Free Code Camp. So the website has also a YouTube channel also, and it is completely free. There are various playlists also here which you can watch. And for example, this is the HTML and CSS tutorials. So there are many tutorials here which you can follow to learn web development, and you can follow all of these. But just one more thing, don't fall in the tutorial hell. Also read some documentations also. So there is one documentation site called MDN Docs. It is by Mozilla. So whenever you go to this website, it has many documentation created for you in very simple manner. So this is the documentation to learn web development, and there is HTML also. So you can start here. It will tell you what modules it has. If you go to introduction to HTML, it will give you everything you need to know about HTML, and you can follow along this website. There is one more website called W3 Schools. It is also a great website to learn web development. And apart from web development, there are many things which you can learn in this website. For example, this is Learn HTML. So there is HTML tutorial here. You can give quizzes here, and in the left side you can see there are many things which you can learn on this website. So this is a great one also. And there are some YouTube channels also, Traversy Media, which I personally like and started first with. So this guy is doing very great. So there are many playlists all related to web development. So you can follow along with this playlist also. There are some starting level ones. For example, this one HTML and CSS playlist. So this is also a great channel. Anything else?
Thank you, sir, for taking your time out and joining us here and guiding the participants. That was indeed one great session. We hope
Yeah,
everyone
thank you
learned
for inviting
something.
me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone,
Uh,
for joining us. We are sharing the community link, joining link for those who are not a member of Alexa Developers Community. And until then, take care. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.